Kameryn Stanhouse, VP of Sports and Entertainment Partnerships at IBM. Thanks for being here with us today.
Thanks so much for having me on this Super Bowl Friday.
I'm wondering if you could walk us through a little bit IBM's approach to sports and entertainment marketing, kind of what you're seeing and what you're trying to get out of these deals.
Yeah, so people may not know this, but IBM has been in sports and entertainment since the early 90s. We signed our first partnership with Wimbledon in 1990 and have been part of their digital transformation from anything creating their first website to building their first app and to now what we do with them every single day. So really what we do at the core of everything is IBM is a little bit of the dad's brand, I say. People are like, oh, I know somebody, my grandfather worked there, this person worked there. But what they don't understand is we are doing so much and so many cool things. And so because we're not a consumer-facing product, sports is really that avenue where we can put our technology in the hands of users worldwide in a way that they can engage with that's fun and unique. So our approach is twofold, really brand, like how do we use this as a brand messaging platform to be able to talk about what we're doing every other day and, inspire people about what's possible when you work with IBM. The first thing I hear is, oh my God, you build the Masters app. The Masters is my favorite app. Like, yes, we do. And we can do that too. Right? We partner with our sports partners the same way we do with any commercial business partner. We look to design, develop, and deliver a first-class experience. So it's really a replication of what's possible when you work with our IT and consulting teams in the business world.
What's kind of the split between sports and entertainment? Are they kind of hand in hand? Are they kind of two separate worlds? How are you dividing your time between those?
Yeah, so I like to call them all of my children. You can't pick a favorite. They're all unique and special, but we really do over-index in sports. So we've got Wimbledon, US Open, the Masters, Scuderia Ferrari HP, which is a new ad of the last year, UFC, which is a new ad, ESPN Fantasy Football. Watson X delivers all of the insights to help you draft your favorite teams. And then the Grammys, the Recording Academy is our entertainment property. I'm fresh off of the Grammys. But we work with them to build their digital platforms and help them create a system that engages the Recording Academy's 30,000 members every single year. So people don't realize the Grammys is actually the award ceremony where members are voting. I think there's a famous Jay-Z acceptance speech where he's talking about the Academy not voting. It's the members. It's a peer nominated award. And so we help work with them year round to make sure that we deliver a seamless experience. And then, during the award show, that it's all up and running.
To what degree are you kind of breaking this out between traditional sponsorship, hospitality, or also kind of, you mentioned the Masters app, like a tech-focused approach?
Yeah, so it is all completely integrated. So my team sits, we have a marketing side, I have a hospitality team, then I have technology. But anytime we're talking about a sports partnership, or even if we're going to entertain something new, it really starts with a technology solution. And I love this about IBM's approach because everything we do is authentic to us. So the first thing is okay, what's the unique technology solution that only IBM can provide you? How do we start there? And so everything's about that and creating a unique platform. When we were working with Ferrari, we were like, we're not a logo slap. We're not going to put a logo on your car. What can we do for you guys? Yeah. And so we completely redesigned and created the Scuderia Ferrari HP app to engage their 400 million fans that they never had anything for. And it also wasn't in Italian, which is shocking to me. So now it's available in English and Italian. And a great example is I was at the car launch in Maranello last week. And within minutes, we were able to put the new Ferrari in our app in a 3D immersive experience. So people weren't just looking at photos, they were able to go through and experience the car for the first time. So it really is technology is first. And then how do we storytell around that? That's been something that we haven't leaned too much into in the past, but that's a huge priority of mine is what is the storytelling avenue that we're bringing to life? And what we do is connect fans with their favorite sports teams, athletes. And so we're really focusing on storytelling through the lens of the fans. We've done this with some of our Ferrari work and we've gotten great reception. And so you'll start to see a bit of a different side of IBM coming out in our marketing that really shows the lens of the fans. And then the hospitality side, these are huge client entertaining programs. We are making people's dreams come true, bringing them to the first Ferrari race or showcasing behind the scenes at the Masters, right? So hospitality is a huge part of what we do, but it really all goes hand in hand. And my team works together every single day, the three of us, the three sectors to make things happen.
Okay, so you walk into a conference room with your team. Yeah. You're planning to seek out new partnerships or even pitch. What are you looking for? How are you shaping what you're seeking in these partnerships? And then when you're actually getting into those rooms with those partners, whether they're pitching you or pitching them, how does the conversation flow? What are you highlighting?
Yeah, so I think we've had a highly curated portfolio for a really long time, and making sure again that whatever we do is smart scaling. Because again, we do a lot for people, and it's not about just putting logos on things. It's like, how can I actually integrate my team into what you're doing every single day to make it all work? So first and foremost, we start with audience, right? Like, who are we actually trying to reach? Who are our consumers? Who are buying IBM technology? Where do they over-index? And looking at a lot of the audience research, like, we're right where our audience loves. A lot of people always wonder, like, UFC is a bit different than the rest of the portfolio, but it has a high margin index across everybody we're trying to reach, and has a great developer audience. So being able to storytell a little bit differently there. So that's really where we start. And then, like, where's the gap, right? I think the first big thing, people are always like, oh, global football, how are you going to get into that? But it's about finding the right partner that makes sense for what we need to do, and something that's a symbiotic relationship.
Are you thinking more B2B, B2C? Is there a balance that kind of needs to be struck between those two elements?
Yeah, so the way we think of it is like B2B2C, right? Like, we obviously want to tell a B2B story, but it's all about the channel. So when we're on Instagram, it's a bit more of a B2C angle. We might have something that's talking about the technology behind the app. But again, it's like actually having your technology in the hands of people is a very different experience. So from a overall marketing standpoint, our platform is Smarter Business, and we showcase essentially how we make our sports partners a smarter business by providing them these tools.
Are you thinking about any different sports as having particularly more opportunities or more value to derive in any way? Like, you're spread pretty widely, but I'm curious if there's one in particular that stands out as like, hey, this could really bring value back to us.
So our diversification, I think, is really unique. A lot of people always ask, like, why don't you go all in on something? But I think having these moments where we say we're the best in tennis. We're the best in tennis. We've got two. We used to have the other two slams as well, and decided to really focus on US Open and Wimbledon. But I think Ferrari and UFC are interesting to us because they're global moving sports, right? So they go around the globe. They're on 365, and so it allows us to be in other markets where some of our other sports don't service. So F1, we did pop-ups in Singapore and Abu Dhabi, Australia. So we're able to reach a global market in a way that we haven't before with some of our current sports.
Well, I wanted to expand on F1 a little bit. I had that written down next here, just because F1 teams have gotten so involved with tech companies. It's become such a popular category among them. And it's not just, slapping a sticker on the car, like you said. There's a lot of tech integrations across the board. I'm wondering, especially with how big F1 has gotten in the US and their global expansion steps, how are you seeing that going forward? I mean, you mentioned a lot about Ferrari, but I'm wondering, kind of thinking bigger picture in kind of the next decade or so, what are you seeing there?
Yeah, I mean, F1 has become enormous. I think Drive to Survive, we have a lot to think about that. We've been privy to them filming with us many times now. We love the next Netflix team, but yeah, the global expansion for F1, we see it as good for us, right? Again, we're trying to help curate a brand presence in a new way for IBM. And so Ferrari's the best partner to do that. We think about the legacy and tradition and heritage that we have matches exactly with Ferrari. They're one of the most winningest teams in F1, and they have that iconic name, legendary name. And so really partnering with them on something that's unique. Again, tons of teams are in F1. All of our competitors are in F1, as I like to call them, our frenemies. We all work together in some capacity. But I don't see it as a competition. I see it as nothing but opportunity. I mean, the more eyeballs that are on F1, the more eyeballs that we can get into our app and create really unique experiences.
How are you thinking about women's sports? Obviously, we're at a time where women's sports valuations are booming, sponsorships flowing in, kind of the business proposition of those sports and leagues has really changed, and brands, advertisers are seeing the business case. Obviously, when you work with the slams, you're kind of in that anyways, but I'm curious how you're thinking about, the more like the NWSLs, the WNBAs of the world, even kind of global leagues like that.
Yeah, huge women's sports fan. I can't deny that, but our portfolio is co-gender, and so that's one of the things. Like with F1, we get to F1 Academy, so how are we doing unique things with them? We obviously, tennis is an easy one to talk about, but for Augusta National, we do the Amateur National Women's Tournament before Augusta. So we are in women's sports on the co-gender side across everything, but yeah, I mean, definitely something that we're looking at, and a passion point of mine as I've come on board. We haven't decided yet. When you look at women's sports, as I mentioned, it's about finding that authentic storytelling opportunity, and we haven't quite found it in the traditional avenues yet, but not to say that we won't. It's definitely a passion point of mine, and one that I've been digging deep in on.
I want to ask you about ROI, because if you ask, 20 sports marketers about how they're deriving, or where they see the value coming out of their partnerships, you probably get 20 different answers. So I'm curious, How are you guys looking at ROI when it comes to these partnerships? What areas do you feel like it's paying off, and how are you actually defining that?
Yeah, so twofold. I mean, brand, which is harder to measure because we are now a piece of everything that the brand team is doing, right? We have brand advertising commercials, and so we plug in a lot to that and helping to change the perception of IBM. But really simply, like a lot of it is hospitality and looking at pipeline. So how are our hospitality and entertaining opportunities actually driving pipeline and revenue for the sales teams? Like that is an anchor to what we do and something that we measure. And again, marketers, we all work for companies that have a stock price, and we need to drive up the stock price. And so how are we helping that with a lot of our hospitality and entertaining?
I'm curious if you can expand on the hospitality side of it,
Yeah.
because we've looked at this quite a bit. But when you come into an open to an event like the U.S. Open or something similar, an F1 race, you mentioned earlier like this drives stuff to the pipeline, and I'm wondering, can you expand kind of what you're seeing there, how that works, and kind of how you can continue to have that going forward?
Yeah, so just like our technology partnerships, right? We're trying to have an authentic relationship with the property and showcase what we're doing. All of those are time spent with people and making human connections and actually being able to say like, oh, we're going to watch this tournament, but actually let's follow the live likelihood to win in the app too. And then people experiencing our technology and being inspired about what they can create with IBM. So we look at them as moments to actually create real relationships. You're not just, especially in F1 weekend, you're not just like sitting and talking business. You're talking about people's kids and their families and where they're from and why they love this team, right? So it's about building those authentic connections and then figuring out how we work together.
What's the next frontier for IBM sports and entertainment partnerships? What do you want to kind of evolve to? What are you seeking next? Where do you want to grow?
So, I mean, I think continue doing excellent sponsorships. That's what we've been doing. But I think one of the things that is exciting that we're trying to figure out is like, what's the quantum use case in sports and how can we do something that no one's ever done before? So that's something that we're actively looking at now. And I'm hoping by this time next year, I'll be talking to you about a quantum use case in sports.
Yeah. What challenges are kind of in the way of kind of achieving your goals going forward?
Challenges. I mean, say, what are the two challenges that we all don't have enough of? Time and money. Yeah. I mean, I think there's so much opportunity out there, and I think just as tunnel vision on like making sure that we continue to be super focused on what we've been doing and what we've been delivering in the past, right? Authentic sports sponsorships that drive revenue, but also, I mean, yeah, I'm like, what additional properties I can sign that are authentic and make sense and create to add value for the brand.
Why does it make sense to kind of get involved in the Super Bowl ecosystem, whether it's formal partnerships, whether it's kind of using it as an opportunity or a platform to build relationships? Why does that make sense?
Yeah, so I think all this is networking, right? It's the world of sports. I've had so many meetings while I've been here. Having everyone in one location makes it a lot easier. But also, I mean, we are in football from the fantasy perspective, and it's one of the biggest drivers, I'd say, of engagement that we have. So it's important to be here just from a sponsorship and networking perspective, but also as we're trying to be visible as a brand in sports, having me here to be able to talk about what we're doing is really important.
Kameryn Stanhouse, thanks for being here with us today.
Thanks so much.